Good morning, Fred here. It's October 30th, 2015. The the jury and the judge have handed down the verdict and the sentence for Owen Labrie. And he is sentenced to 1 year in prison, probation, and registering for life as a sex offender. Now, I have a serious problem with that. And for the next few minutes, I'm going to go into the details on that. First of all, should he have been punished? Absolutely. Absolutely. Without question. This kid had a severe punishment coming. It is imperative as Americans and parents and school administrators, we've got to impress upon our kids that at the age of 18, the law, unfortunately, in my opinion, the law in the country considers you an adult, which, like I just said, I disagree with completely. How many 18-year-olds do you know that act like adults, behave like adults? How many 18-year-olds do you know that are completely intellectually and morally mature? Not many, honestly. There's the law in this country, and then there's what really happens. This is why I always talk about logic and critical thinking. You know, we know what the law says about 18-year-olds, and then we know what actually happens. Now, if it had been up to me, personally, if I were the judge, I would have absolutely given him the year in prison, maybe even 2. I mean, I would have slapped him hard. And I'll tell you why. Because this is the kind of kid that the judicial system should make an example of. You got to send a clear message to 18-year-olds across the country. The law considers you to be an adult. This is what's going to happen to you. Now, there's no question about his behavior. It was deplorable. It's disgusting. Now, I saw the Facebook messages. I saw his frame of mind, and whether that is some deep psychological deviancy, I don't know. My guess is not. Now, honesty. And think about this, folks. Especially if you're my age, you're in your 40s, or your 50s, or even in your 30s. How many sophomore girls do you remember going out with seniors? Because this girl was 18. This girl was 16, I'm sorry. And Owen Labrie was 18 at the time. Because when I was in high school, I remember quite a few sophomore girls dating seniors. I even remember a couple freshman girls dating seniors. So we know what happens. It does happen. It probably shouldn't happen, but it does. 15, 16-year-old girls mingle with senior guys. It happens all the time in high school, and we know it does. Okay? This is not something from outer space. This is kind of common knowledge. And teenagers are immature. They're immature. For years and years and years. Okay? Doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, neurologists, biologists. There are hundreds of scholarly articles out there, literally, that claim and have been claiming for years that the human brain is not fully mature until at least the age of 20. And in many cases, not until 23 or 25, mid-20s. Full maturity. Specifically the prefrontal cortex. At what age is the brain fully developed? I was reading this article this morning, and how the brain changes during development. And one of the things that this article claims is not fully mature until the age of 20 or later is the prefrontal cortex. Specifically, and this is item number 4 in this article, I'll just read it really quick. Executive functions. A majority of the executive functions that we develop are via the prefrontal cortex. This allows us to help assess risk, think ahead, evaluate ourselves, set goals, and regulate our emotions. Although many of these functions are developed during teenage years, they are still under slight development and strengthened until our mid-20s. And I have seen that exact assessment repeated over and over and over again in dozens of medical articles that I've read about brain maturity. Now, on to the sex offender registry conviction. And then after that, another topic that I think is relevant to this case. This is 2015, okay? It's not the 60s and 70s anymore. This little machine that I have in front of me, which I have this camera hooked up to, can find out anything about anybody at any time. All I need is a debit card, their name, or their social security number, and I can find out anything about them I want in seconds. I can do it for $19.95. I can look up anybody's background. And this is what's going to happen to this kid for the rest of his life. Being registered as a sex offender at the age of 20, that's a life sentence. He's never going to get a decent job. He's not going to be able to go anywhere near a school. Anybody can go online at any time and find out where he lives, where he works, what he does. This kid is branded for life. That is the part of the sentence I absolutely disagree with. Absolutely. Had he committed this crime when he was 22 or 23, I would be more likely to say go for it, label him a sex offender. A 23 or 24-year-old messing around with a 16-year-old. But they were in school together. They were both in high school. The kid was 18. She was 16. 18-year-olds are not mature. Not most of them. So this part of the sentence, I think, it's harsh. Especially in this society now, where the entertainment industry and social media, television, cable, magazines, everywhere you look, sex and violence, debauchery, irresponsible behavior, contempt for law enforcement, contempt for authority, it's shoved in these kids' faces every day, all day, every day. And now we give them smartphones where they can look at each other all. We inundate our children with sex and violence, sexuality, and deplorable behavior in the media. And then we slap them as a sex offender when they lose control. Now, I repeat again and again and again, yes, Owen Labrie should be severely punished. a year in prison, I'm fine with that. As a matter of fact, if it were up to me, if I were the judge, I probably would make him work in a rape crisis center after he got out of prison. I'd make him work in a rape crisis center for no pay for 2 years. I would make damn sure he never looked at an underage girl again. But I don't think this kid is a sexual deviant. I think he was a horny, irresponsible, probably frustrated, stupid kid. And he made some really, really poor choices. Should we punish 18-year-olds? Absolutely. Should we destroy their lives? Maybe not. Maybe not. Thank you. Questions, comments? I'll put this on Facebook. If you don't want to comment on Facebook, you can email me at fredforwethepeople@gmail.com. Fred for We the People. Just all one word, not numbers, all letters, lowercase. fredforwethepeople@gmail.com. Thanks, folks. Have a great day.